to share the notes of business analysis class which is held by Alok Bhatia. I would first like to start off by thanking Alok Bhatia sir, who is the epitome of knowledge. You are super inspiring to me, sir, and I'm very happy to be learning things from you every day. So let's discuss what I've written so far. On day one, we learned about the role of BA, and we went over the syllabus of the business analysis course. We understood the certifications that can be done for the business analysis, which is the PBA and the CBAB. I learned that W3 schools can be utilized for learning SQL. I learned a new word called gregarious, which means to be social and have a vibrant personality. Here are the challenges that I've listed. That I'm an introvert and I don't talk unless I'm talked to, but I'm trying to overcome these challenges by being more outspoken and positive during this course. And so we first started off by understanding what a BA does and how he's connected to the IT universe, that he's placed at the center of the IT universe and is responsible for eliciting requirements from various stakeholders, that is the business team and the end user representatives. He's responsible for developing documents such as project charter, business requirements document, and functional specification document, and that he works closely with the project managers. We understood who reads the documents and the definition of BA, which is that he is a liaison between the end users of an application, the business team, and the technical teams that create and test the application. We understood how a business analyst uses the CRM app and his interaction. We also learned about the software development lifecycle and the various models of the SDLC, that is the waterfall model, agile, RUP, spiral, prototyping. I further delved deeper into understanding what RUP and spiral models are. The RUP is used for iterative software development process framework, which is created by National Software Corporation, and the spiral model is used for risk management. I also understood what is prototyping, and then we learned about the different phases of the waterfall model, which is the concept, requirements, design, development, testing, deployment, maintenance, and retirement. We then learned about the two roles of a BA in a company, that he is responsible for eliciting requirements from stakeholders, and the second is to deal with the scope creep. We understood what the scope creep is and who are the stakeholders. I also learned some new facts about Federal Reserve Bank and the Robinhood application. And then we understood the essence of executive sponsor of a project, that he's the prime driver of the project and the most important stakeholder. We then moved on to understand the scope, which means the requirements or the features, and we understood the categories in the scope, that is in scope and out of scope. We then learned about the triple constraint negotiation, and that it happens in the concept phase between the PM or the BA and the executive sponsor, the triple constraints being cost, time, and scope. We then understood what the executive sponsor wants from the project, what the PM wants, and the constraints that are fixed for an executive sponsor, which depends on the project and the need. We then understood the examples of when a schedule is fixed and when the resources are fixed. On day 2, we understood the difference between the BA and the PM. I learned some new terminologies, which is the T-shaped skills and the I-shaped skills. The T-shaped skills being the speciality in multiple skills and a person who can work in a cross-functional environment. I-shaped skills specializing in only one skill. We also learned about the magnificent 7 stocks, which is the Google, Meta, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. And then we understood the steps on how we can avoid scope creep. We learned about the responsibility assignment matrix and the RACI chart. The responsibility assignment matrix shows who's responsible for what work, and the RACI chart is for the level of involvement, and it stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. We understood how this RAM and RACI chart apply to a BA. And then we understood how a project charter is developed and the various sections that should be present in a project charter. We then understood the essence of a PMO, Project Management Office, and we learned about the gap analysis, which is frequently conducted by BAs, and it is done to understand the current business processes and to propose a solution to what the future business process needs to be, and how we go from current business processes to future business processes. Here are some steps that you can follow to go from current business process to future business process. And we looked at some examples for gaps to fill, and that gaps should always start with a verb. We learned that MS Visio is a tool for gap analysis, and the sections are the 5 elements in a gap analysis document. So coming to day 4, I learned a new word again, which is gratuitous, which means redundant. And here is the feedback for my day 3 homework. I learned some software terminologies, which are caching server, Akamai networks, Conga, and the PIP, which means the performance improvement plan. I also learned about when an apostrophe should be used. And then we dived into the business requirements, the documentation of business needs and wants of a user, stated in everyday language of the users, and the various priority models, which is the high, medium, low, and the Moscow technique. We then understood the sections of a business requirements document. On day 5, I learned some more new terminologies, which are PI planning and the MongoDB. And here is the feedback that I received from day 4 homework. We also learned some regional acronyms. We then understood the difference between business requirements, functional requirements, and the technical design, and learned about the use cases, diving deeper into the functional specification document. We understood that the use case diagram is an example of UML, and it presents a user-centric view of the system. Here is an example of the Facebook use case diagram. And we learned the sections of the FSD and the use case scenario. We then understood what is the difference between the use case diagram and the use case scenario. I learned some new terminologies about the banking industry, and I delved deeper into understanding the sections of the FSD. And on day 5, I understood what a single sign-on platform is. I understood the definition of a single sign-on platform. And then we understood the beneficiaries of the use cases in a functional specification document, that developers are the biggest beneficiaries, and the QA team and the business teams. We understood how to create an activity diagram, which is an example of the UML diagram and shows what the steps of a use case should be in a pictorial manner. They're also called process flow diagrams or the workflow diagrams. And these are the symbols that can be used to create an activity diagram. We also understood a special kind of activity diagram, which is the swim lane diagram, which creates lanes for each involved entity, and the actions performed by the entity are kept in that lane. And it gives clarity on who's responsible for what action. We then understood what non-functional requirements are, that they are not part of the main functionality and yet are very important for the application to function. Some of the examples being response time, performance, reliability, security, and so on. Some new terminologies here again. And we understood what JAD sessions are, which is done in the requirements phase of the SDLC. It's basically for gathering requirements for an application development, and what are the steps to be followed in a JAD session, and about the minutes of meeting, which is an important part of the JAD session, and that it has to be documented and clearly passed on to the other team members. We understood what the participants of the JAD sessions are, and the advantages of the JAD session. We differentiated between JAR and JAD, and that no technical team is involved in the JAR session, and there is no creation of prototypes, and it is purely requirements gathering session. But in JAD session, there is creation of prototypes and involvement of the technical teams, and it is done when the BA is having ambiguities or getting conflicting requirements from different stakeholders. And finally, we learned about the various ways to capture requirements, which can be done through brainstorming, interviewing, that is asking open-ended questions to the stakeholders, and then shadowing the end users to witness their daily activities, conducting JAD sessions, prototyping, gap analysis, and sending out questionnaires and surveys to understand the customers, and then finally conducting focus groups. Thank you.